Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. This is Naaman from DC Camp, Branch of Great Millstone, back for another video. But first and foremost, call all Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakahak Radash, and of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, pushing the truth across four corners of the world. Sometimes day in, day out, usually week in, week out. Considering the videos that we make, it's all in an effort to wake up the remaining hopefully elect, as long as time permits us to do so. Alright, and this is one of the topics in discussion that is going to eventually cause Amos 8 and 11 and 12, famine of the word, because more and more people are saying what these Edomites, these so-called white people, are all about. And this in particular has plagued Jake here in America, especially for the longest. Nobody wants to believe that shit like this happens, especially in this day and age. So I'm going to go ahead and let this guy cook. Now, the whole video is 2 hours and just under 46 minutes. I watched half of that, and at least the hour and 20 minutes that I watched, I can vouch for. He raises excellent points and questions, and again, it's nothing that we haven't told you. All right, let me set this up. This happened in Ohio. This piece of shit here, she makes a video afterwards, and you're going to see why, because of her business and everything. She is in a neighborhood where evidently there's not that many Jakes, if not at all, besides this one family. And she's out with two kids with a stroller walking around 5:30, somewhere in the evening. Remember, it gets dark early this time of year, so all of a sudden she goes up to this house, and she's looking across the street. You can see her, and she's real scared of something, or pretending to be, I don't know, but she rings the doorbell, and evidently, and again, when she tries to explain this away, why were you so threatened? There's nothing in the exchange between them that will lead anybody to believe something frightening, scary, whatever was going on. What was she scared of? And it turns out that it was a Jake in a truck. He was driving up to his house. At the time that this went on, he was admiring the Christmas lights. And again, this is, we try to tell you, Jake, first of all, not to get involved in that shit, but in this case, that really didn't have anything to do with it. You can see this is all on her. So let's go ahead and roll the tape.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning, good morning. This is Seji Hito here to bring you another tale of the society. So we have a woman here with her tears. If you don't know, this is the same woman that I brought you guys a video about where she
And as the saying goes in the criminal justice system, a white woman's tears equal 15 years or worse.
Positioned herself to be the victim in a tale of which she was out at night with her two children, and a black homeowner was the one that saw her in front of his house. She decided to scream bloody murder and cause this whole ruckus, all to find out that the house that she felt that he did not own, of which she was at, he was actually the owner of. She went directly online crying. But just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, we're going to go through the very first video, just for anybody that may not have seen it or doesn't know anything about it. And then we're going to go into the 3 responses that she gave.
Ready for a new ride? Look no further than future Nissan of Roseville.
Responses that she gave on social media.
Here we go.
We need to. What's going on?
Notice the kids.
Do you live here?
Yeah.
You do? Papa. I don't believe that. What? I don't believe that.
She doesn't believe it.
Rory, come on. Rory, come on.
She says she don't believe that that's his house. He just left the store.
Did someone come here?
That was my wife. Somebody chased her up here. And she has the kids.
Who chased her?
She said somebody in a silver
guy
truck.
in a gray truck, and he came around the corner, and I was in the street, and so I come up and I my kids, and so I'm like, I pretend that I'm coming home, and so I pull up and I start walking to your back gate, and he stops here and he goes, "Are you looking for someone?" And I said, "No." And then he sat here, and I was like, "I need to get in."
Well, that's my husband. That's why he lives here. Yeah. He lives here. So he came in and he said there's this lady screaming, and I'm like, that's...
She got all worried that somebody...
I'm scared the crap out of me.
How?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
How did he scare you?
Why is it so hard to believe in 2024 that you see this white supremacist attitude still, and Jake still believes he oh wow, that America is the end all be all, or be all end all. This is what Jake, if everything was to be, left to itself, and to me, this is my personal take on it, you're way too nice. Why hee-haw, laughing and shit. Shit's not funny at all.
You though.
I just seen her in the driveway and I was like, "Are you looking for somebody?" Because I was pulling up out.
And I saw someone walking in our driveway too, and I'm like, why is someone walking in our driveway?
All right, sorry.
She says that someone was following her, so you were walking from there?
You came this way, didn't you?
No, I came down this street right here.
Yeah.
And I was riding slow because I'm looking at our Christmas lights.
Well, you just have to understand my point of view. Being by myself with two kids.
You have to understand my point of view. Never mind. See, let's continue on, because he's going to get into it.
I saw a car coming, and so I was like, oh, it scared me, and so I just pulled up here, and I kept thinking, this could be his house. But you didn't say, this is my home. You just said, you looking, and I was like,
I did. When you was on the porch, you asked me, did I live here? I said, yeah.
And you said, no, you don't.
And you said, I don't think you do.
It was obviously you could tell that I was really caught off guard.
Like I'm pulling in my, I'm pulling in my house. Like this neighborhood is probably one of the best neighborhoods in Ohio. You don't have to worry about stuff like that.
Well, I'm very sorry. I really hope that you're not upset with me.
Come on, baby, go in the house. Let's go.
See,
you told me that I didn't.
In the house. Fuck this.
Quinn Talon watched his own teeth scatter across the academy courtyard. He counted 3 molars.
You told me that I didn't.
So we were able to hear that, right? We heard the whole occurrence. The woman was, deadly frightened. She didn't know who it was. The husband said that she was being chased by a man in a car. She had her 2 kids. It was around 5:30 directly at night. What she was doing outside at 5:30 at night, I can't sit up there and tell you. The wife came out and clarified that this is his home. We live here, aka a black family lives at this residence. And he clarified that when she asked him, did he live there? She specifically said, no, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. He said, so what are you doing here? Letting her know that, hey, this is my home. Why are you actually at this residence at this moment in time? And you clearly saw her deciding to scream bloody murder and run directly with both of her two kids as she proceeded to call her husband. Now we're going to go directly into the response that she gave online because of the backlash.
Thanks. So I want to jump on here because my Facebook is public, and for those of you guys who are telling me that I owe a public apology, one, I will not apologize for making any sort of racist remark.
New, right?
I am the furthest thing from a racist.
Oh, here we go. Waterworks.
I will, however, apologize that my expression could ever come across in such a way, or that somebody could think something of that nature of myself and my family. So, long story short, I need to give the context because there's a lot of y'all who are, I'm sure, coming to my page right now, not knowing. JB's coming down. Hold on. Hang on.
Wow.
So that was just the first clip, right? And I want you to understand how it is that in both times, in both videos, you heard her crying, you heard her screaming, she was in deep terror, she was in deep fear, and then automatically it stopped. The waterworks, the energy, the fear, it completely disappeared. When she heard, I guess, her husband or whoever else, whatever male was in the house, walking around, she was like, oh, I gotta, stop the production right now because there's some noise going directly on. I can't get directly into character so that you guys can believe what it is that I'm telling you, even though I'm lying directly to your face. So let's go on to the next clip.
This is my house. And I said, I don't think that it is. And at that point, the only reason that I said that was because truly the awkward encounter of slowing up behind me, talking to us multiple times. I'm in this frantic state. It's late at night. I got my kids, my two babies. The lady at the door is not answering. There's no other homes that are well established. I mean, there's construction. It's a corner house. I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm on the front porch. This truck literally is halfway up the driveway. And I was like, my radar was like, nope, I don't think that this is your house. And so I said, I don't believe that this is your house. And so I'm starting to unbuckle Cash, and I grab, and I freak. I go, Rory, run. And so I take off the porch, and I literally run as fast as I can, screaming at the top of my lung. I'm getting all these messages, I'm so sorry. Screaming at the top of my lung. I have never, ever, ever screamed the way that I screamed. And I'm running through the front yards of everybody, praying that the Ring doorbell would capture us. Finally, to get to a woman's house, I'm bang on the door. And at this point, I'm dialing 911, and I said, can I please come in? And the woman said, yes, come in. And so I'm staying there, I'm talking to the sheriff, and more than anything, I was not looking for him to come to my rescue at this point. My husband was going to come. I'm in this woman's house, the door is closed, and I tell the man, he said, do I need to come out? And I just said, no. I said, I was just calling to let you know that this just happened. My husband's going to come get me. And he says, he asked me if I wanted him to come out, and I said no. And so the woman then, I was at her house, she literally asked me and said, she said, I don't know how to ask this. She goes, but was it a black man? Because she goes, it's a black family that lives there. And I said, no, I believe that this is a white man. He was a white man in a truck. A young white man is what I said. And she said, okay. She goes, because that's a black family that lives there. And I said, no, I don't think that it was a black man. And then when my husband got there, I stood out front, and we're still trying to get the Ring doorbell footage of me talking to my husband. But he asked me again, he said, what house was it? And I said, it was this house right here. And he goes, are you sure it wasn't a black guy? He goes, because that's a black family.
As she was talking to this person she is attempting to describe, do you think he was talking to her through tinted windows? Or is it more than likely that he had the windows down and was asking, what are you doing, more or less, in my driveway? You're looking for someone, etc. So don't you think she was able to identify who she was talking to? Just a question.
I said, no, I don't believe that it was a black man. And so we get in the car and we go to pick up the stroller. And I've said this a million times, I have never felt the fear that I had even just pulling up in front of the house when John opened the door to get out of the truck. The amount of,
All right.
I've never went into like fight or flight like that before. And so he gets out of the car and he goes up to the woman's house, and a woman comes out onto the front porch and she says something along the lines like, did you forget something or did you leave something? And John laughs and he's like, yes, we did. I'm so sorry. And I get out of the car and I walk up to the woman, and I could not tell her fast enough what had happened. She walks out on the porch and I jump out of the car and I said, oh my gosh, yes, there was a man. John was the one that said a man was following her, chasing her, following her is what I said. I use the word chasing, following me. And so she said, I jumped out of the car and I said, I'm so sorry. I said, literally, I was pretending that your house was my house. I was walking up the driveway, and then I was like turning in. I was pretending that it was yours. And she goes, yeah, that was my husband. And so he ends up coming out and he's like, I told you this was my house. And at that point, I literally I said, I'm so sorry. I said, I am so sorry. And I told him, I said, I'm so sorry. And then, I said, this is your house. That was my words. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, this is your house. I said, I truly kept thinking like, maybe this is his house. Maybe this is his house. And he says, well, I told you this was your house. And I said, you have to understand. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, it was such an awkward encounter. I said, the truck was like starting to slow behind me, and I'm out here with my little girl and my son, and I said, I'm a mom, and it was dark. And he said, but I told you that this was my house. He says, I was driving slow because I was looking at my Christmas lights. And I said, I am so sorry. And they truly, they did not take my apology. And that night, I went home. And so if you guys saw on Instagram, I shared the story twice. The only reason that I shared the story is because I was heartbroken, and it was...
See, here's the thing. You're listening to, and I'm not qualified to, what I'm getting ready to put up here. Difference between a sociopath sociopath versus psychopath. What's the difference? Here it is in a nation that has done what it's done to us, will not even entertain the thought that they did anything wrong. Let's see here. Again, I am a layman. I am not an expert, so-called. A sociopath is not the same thing as a psychopath, although the terms are often used interchangeably in conversation and popular culture. Neither is an official diagnosis. Instead, sociopathy and psychopathy describe a set of traits that fall under the larger umbrella of antisocial personality disorder. All right, the two, psychopathy is generally seen to be more severe than sociopathy, suggesting a complete lack of emotion and an inability to love or feel remorse. Even so, there is much overlap between the two conditions and much confusion about how they differ. Of course, antisocial behavior, I'm sure everybody knows that, but that's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. All right, let's see. Let's get down here to the meat of it. For a person to be diagnosed with ASPD, antisocial personality disorder, they must meet at least 3 of the 7 criteria outlined in the DSM. That's that book that in the early 70s they took out how it described homosexuality as a mental disorder. I think that was DSM-2. Anyway, failing to conform to laws or social norms, including repeatedly breaking laws. 2, which is what we're dealing with here, deceitfulness, repeatedly lying or conning others for profit or personal pleasure. All right, and let's see, blah, 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 blah. None of these meet. All right, 6, lack of remorse, including being indifferent when hurting, mistreating, or stealing from anyone. Didn't you hear her say about she's not going to apologize? This is all those pictures you see of Jake hanging and, the lynchings and the people laughing and smiling, even the kids. All right, traits of sociopaths versus psychopaths. All right, let's go on to skip it. Now, you can read that on yourself. Sociopathic traits: breaking the law, physical aggression, manipulation of others for personal gain, anger and hostility, unpredictable mood swings, impulsive behaviors, chaotic and dramatic, exploitation of other people, irresponsibility, unreliable in relations. Not quite. Psychopathic traits: feeling few, if any, emotions, except when you can call them, at will. Sadism, pleasure from causing pain to others. We're getting somewhere here. A lack of care for others. Pathological lying. Charming personality. Ding, ding, ding. Lack of fear. Another one. Risk-taking behavior. Inability to love. No remorse for wrongdoing. Ding, ding, ding. Poor judgment. A lack of life goals. Using relationships purely for gain. There you go. So which is she? Is there scripture on this? Sure. Let's go back through the video. Let me get that scripture. All right. Psalms. Forget David, although he was king, he was also what? A prophet. This is Psalms 58. All right. The Most High who judges the earth. To the chief musician, Altashith, Mechtam of David. Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Or do ye judge uprightly, O you sons of men? Here are the points. 2, yea, in heart ye work wickedness. Ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. 3, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They're born that way. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear. That's why it also tells you in Sirach, got to go there, 12:10 on down, is the characteristics of a psychopath. You've got a whole... That's why they are the wicked, right? Right? Continuing on.
The only reason that I shared the story is because I was heartbroken and it was a really scary night. I've always shared everything on Instagram. And so that night after that whole instance happened, I literally was sitting on the steps first of all.
Oh, let me just stop it right there. She said that she has never been in something like that. She was so scared, fight or flight. And at no point in time did she ever think that she was speaking to a black man. She, for whatever reason, when we hear the audio from the very first video, you can tell that there's a deep voice there. You can tell there's a voice. And usually you can tell, if who it is, right? And I'm guessing that when the car was there, the window should have been rolled down enough to the point where she was able to discern if that is a black man or a white man. She's the one that keeps stating that, I thought it was a white man. I thought it was a white man. I thought it was a white man. If that was the case, you wouldn't have been screaming. You wouldn't have been crying. You wouldn't have been yelling for help, because that same man in your neighborhood, in your town and city, is pretty much reflective of that population. Better yet, he's reflective of your husband. Just like I'm pretty sure the cop that you called that came to patrol because I'm guessing a call went out because somebody reached 911. I'm guessing that he was reflective of your husband as well. So I'm a little bit confused on how you didn't know. And then the voice got even clearer when the man was trying to tell you that this is my house while you were standing directly on his property, on his porch. You repeatedly said that, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You told you got your baby, you got your cell phone, and you told your daughter to sit up there and run. And that's exactly what you did while you were screaming bloody murder through the streets at 5:30 something at night. But yet you're trying to make it seem that you were screaming that way because you felt that it was a white male, somebody of your neighborhood, somebody of your community, just driving a car at night, slowing down, seeing you about to do what? What did you really think that he was going to do, Sarah? What did you think? But let's continue.
And John kept trying to talk to me. I kept telling him I was so sorry. And I've never, just the panic. I literally could not come down from this fight or flight. From the time that I was at the woman's house to literally 30 seconds later, telling the woman that I was just followed to the man stepping out on the front porch and it being his house. It was like all of these different emotions. And so I'm sitting at home, literally having this meltdown. And I kept telling John I was so sorry. I felt really stupid. And so on the way home.
It seems to me this could be brought on by fear of losing one's business. That sort of thing. Because if you followed what's been happening, usually in cases like this, these people, it's kind of a lot easier in this day and time with technology to find out who's who. And a lot of these people have, as a result of stunts like this, have lost their jobs, their livelihood, and rightfully so. Actually, I think they should be, locked up. So this reeks of, desperation to me.
I forgot to say that the cop was driving around our neighborhood, and I'm getting all these messages, I'm so sorry. The cop was driving around our neighborhood, and I stopped him. We stopped him, and I jumped over, rolled the window down, and I said, I am so sorry. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, it was his house. It was a misunderstanding. I'm so sorry. He was like, it's okay. I'm glad everything's fine. I was like, yes, it's fine. So I ended up, we went home. And that night, when I got home, I had tears, and I was making a cup of coffee. And if you guys know me, I put everything on Instagram. I talk all the time. It was an innocent mistake. I felt really stupid. I absolutely was crushed I felt like they thought I was stupid. I already felt stupid. I truly felt stupid.
No.
Like I said to them on the porch, I kept thinking maybe this is his house. And then I'm running and screaming at the top of my lungs. And so yeah, I felt dumb for sure. So I went on Instagram in my story. I still have it archived, and I have tears, and I'm making a cup of coffee. And I said, I was like, man, you talk about a night. I'm like, man, my night just completely took a left turn. And I was super scary. I was like, I'll have to fill you guys in later. So I went live that night. And then I went live again the next morning. And I have to tell you guys, I have been on social media long enough to know that there's a lot of scrutiny. And so by me going live, I did not think that I was doing anything wrong. I was sharing the story of what happened, better safe than sorry, how scary it was, just what I went through. That's the only reason that I went live. At the end, I talked about how I felt stupid and how this couple, twice I apologized and nothing came of it. And so, yeah, that crushed me. I did feel really stupid. So that is the story of that night. Many of you guys were on those lives, and so you guys know the exact emotions and state that I was in. So we are here. And it wasn't until about 2 weeks.
I'm sorry. That's it. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry. You should be content with that. That's all you're getting. I'm sorry. Kind of makes you wonder if, you know, but then again, this is America. This is how they feel. They don't hold. What good? And of course, could be that it's just, some will call, I don't know how to put this. At the end of the day, you know, and Shahaba Shemiah Shah, whose hands, you know, is in. And I was thinking too, where this happened. You know, who knows, the right or the wrong cop in this case could have, or even her husband, who knows. That's the point I was trying to make earlier. How many of our people have been, you know, unalived because of what seems like simple shit. And he's going to mention that. You know, I have that book. I have several books. One is called 100 Years of Lynching. And it's just a collection of, basically a collection of, you know, newspaper articles put together. And how the press even played a big part of that. And how it was worded, you know, black brute accused of raping, or in some cases, what was the other book? At the hands of persons unknown, and there was another one. I mean, things as minor as asking someone for a cup of water, looking at someone the wrong way, and evidently this psychopath here does not want or does not even care that of the history involved in shit like this that hurt people did. That's why this is a psychopath. Don't be tricked by the face, the features, even the gender. These are the worst ones in most cases. All right.
Ago, maybe a little less than that, John was sitting in the living room, and he called me the day prior, and he asked me a question about, you know, did you ever say, like, he said, did you tell the woman that he was black? And I said, no, I told her that I thought he was a young white man. He's like, I thought so. And I was like, that was really weird that he called and asked me that. So the next morning, I was doing my morning reading, and he sits down in front of me, and he's like, we have to talk. And so he told me that there had been a letter floating around our neighborhood that had been posted in our mailroom that had said something about a racist profiling in the neighborhood. And so, of course, you throw racism into the mix, it gets really yucky. And that was the furthest thing from what it was, to the point of literally...
To the point now, I hope you understand why it is so very important, why we're out there on the highways and byways, on the corners, doing these videos, putting this information out. It worked. It has worked to perfection. What do you think provoked this critical race theory onslaught the last few years? Because so much of the truth that they tried to deny, sweep under the rug, you know, the truth has a way of, and the scriptures on that, you know, rising to the surface, no matter how hard you try to bury it, like they've done. This whole school curriculum, all this is to highlight what's happened to them as opposed to what they've done to others. How about that? All right, that even goes back to the JOOs and that what is it, the Oh, that book at the turn of the last century. Oh shit. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. All right, it tells you in one of those chapters that one of the things they had to do was erase all the bad shit about them, and that's all this has ever been. Who controls all this information, or used to? All right, but that's the thing. It's gotten out of their hands. They can't control a narrative like they used to. All right.
We have a handwritten letter from the woman's house that I went to. I'm trying to get the Ring doorbell footage of me standing on the porch telling John when he asked, are you sure it wasn't a black man? And I said, I think it is a young white man. But she wrote a letter. She was like, I'm happy to speak on your behalf. You absolutely told me that you thought it was a white man. And so we had 2 days in a row, the letter was posted in the mailroom saying that there was a racist profiling, not mentioning our name, but it was in reference to that night. It was taken down 2 times. And then I believe there was an email sent to our...
So we all heard that, right? She was going through the whole waterworks, and I want you guys to understand that she said when racism gets thrown into the mix, it gets very terrible, right? And usually for one side. The problem with that is, if you pay attention, she's the one that mentioned race. She's the one that said that she felt that it was a white male, supposedly, right? That it was a white male following her. Now, when we go back and look at the video, it sounds completely different. Even when the husband relayed the information back to the wife of the black man that was being accused, they used completely different wording. In the video that you were able to hear, she tried to switch up the word versus what the husband used in the initial video. He said chased, right? Which means that somebody is actively trying to pursue, which means that they're going to more than likely try to do something nefarious. And 9 times out of 10, historically and societally, whenever people want to criminalize and try to judge, they will say, hey, we saw this black man, he was chasing, he was doing something, he was up to no good. Yep. This is normally how they like to pre-program a lot of people so that they can get used.
Remember I mentioned the books, that one in particular, 100 Years of Lynching? That's how when you read all those accounts, you realize how much of a part the press played, all right, in egging that shit on by how things were worded. Black brute, shit like, language like that, and they still do it to this day. All right, every time something would seem as harmless, especially to Jake, is the word black, which we really need to get away from because that's actually more harmful than saying nigger. Black this, black that. Every time you put black in front of something, was that evokes a negative, it's... Wow, but she clearly knew what she was doing and what she hoped would happen. All right. Wow.
To a certain type of narrative. This is exactly why you see this woman crying these type of tears online, because it's not the same as back when Carolyn Bryant was alive. Yeah, it's not the same as when you had the Central Park 5. It's not the same as Toulouse and many of the other cities that were burned down, that were disintegrated, turned to ash, turned to lakes, turned to ponds, turned into parking structures or areas for highways or whatnot. It's not the exact same time, because now people are able to gather information by way of having cameras on their homes. They're able to also record video and audio at the same time. And people also have the ability to put this information directly to social media so people can figure out fact from fiction. So now, because her narrative or whatever it is that she was trying to start or have go on did not pan out as well as she thought it was, now she has to backtrack. And now the original victims, which is the black family,
There you go.
but more specifically, the black male husband who is the homeowner, right, who also works in real estate within that city and that town, who was being accused of following a lonely single mother white woman. And remember, this is how she tried to portray herself. She tried to portray herself to the internet that, oh, I'm a mother and I'm 2 kids and we're just walking out at night. Shouldn't you be letting people know that you're married? Firstly, which means that you have protection, that if you need to call somebody, they're going to pull up in order to protect you. You're trying to make it seem as though that you're just out here solo dolo with 2 kids, just doing it on your own, just the independent thing. And that's far from the case. This is why you decided to get directly on that phone and you called who? 2 people of your community. One, which is your husband, and the second, the men of your community, which is the police force who showed up. And then you had to run by him like, hey, roll down the window real quick. I just got to let you know, the plan that we had, it really didn't work. They have it on Ring doorbell camera. So I'm just going to tell you that, it's all a mistake and we can just, carry on the way that we're supposed to carry on. And we're going to act like this never happened and try to plot on another family.
Yeah.
Right. But it gets better. Let's go to the next clip.
20 minutes home and my car was broken into when I was at the store. And when I was a little girl, we had a man banging on our door and helicopters hovering over our home. So, did I overreact? Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Wow.
But I showed up at the door and I said that I was sorry 2 times.
And that should be enough, man.
People are going as far as saying they're not genuine apologies, that
On cue.
I'm out to get them for whatever reason that is. I don't know how it could be twisted that way when I literally thought he was a white man. So I knew it wasn't going to stop there, but the Facebook page stuff was deleted. Not me ever asking for any of it to be deleted. I made a public apology to them through the video to a whole Facebook page of almost 500 residents in our neighborhood. And then I posted in the comments multiple times when people were just saying, like, disgusting and just tearing down our family's name. I once again came on and I said, if there's ever an opportunity to reconcile, like, I will. I'm so sorry I could have ever offended you. And so I've absolutely apologized multiple times. It's not been accepted. So now
You're just worried about your... See what I mean? And I'm not... Don't take this and I'm laughing like, oh, because this is far from funny. This, sadly, still a lot of Jakes are going to see just how dangerous this really fucking is. All right, and he goes in. I'm not going to play it all. We've only just played 24 minutes, and I'm already over 43 minutes, almost 44 minutes in, real-time video here. So please watch the rest of this, especially up until like an hour and 10. It's really, really good. But for this video, I can't go that long playing it, the whole video. But this is an example of why you will never, ever, for those of you that are hoping for any type of justice, this is why you're never going to get it. This is, well, let's get it real quick. Because of the people, all right, that you're actually asking justice from. This is Psalms 43:1. This is one of my favorites in dealing with these devils, because that's exactly what they are, liars and deceivers. murderers, and hey, fill in the blank. Judge me, O Most High, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. See, they put on a real good act. Oh man, from the time of the Renaissance, especially the time of Columbus. Oh my goodness, but this has been going on long before that with these people, because we're studying Maccabees now in our class. And there's reasons why they took those books out, because it tells you who's who, tells you who the wicked is, and it really leaves no doubt. But again, I go back to what I just said a few moments ago about the book, The Learned Elders, Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. And they told you about them trying to minimize all the accounts of the crap that they've done throughout history. Not just, the JOOs pretending to be the Israelites, but that whole Edomite nation, race, so-called white man. When you go back to the Greeks, the Romans, and any other Edomite name, they're just filthy. And Job chapter 30 goes into it. He didn't even want them around his dogs. All right, and for obvious, what should be obvious reasons. All right, they are the lowest of the low when it comes to humanity. But again, judge me, O Most High, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. O deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man. How in the fuck are you? Where in that does it, or this man's actions, when you study his history, do you think you're going to get any type of justice, relief? Where do you see this? All these marches, and they're just laughing. What the hell is that going to do? That's why we need salvation. That's why we're out here on the highways and byways trying to wake our people up. And we realize it's just going to be a few, all right, because this is indeed a small sanctuary. Whereas the world's going to tell you, going by the numbers, that's where it's at. And clearly that's not in the scriptures. First of all, it's only dealing with one nation, and that is Israel. It always has, is, and will be only concerned with Israel. All right. So, again, with that, I hope, again, I'll put this is the full version. There's a shorter version, but it's, chopped up, and it's got, some shit for, it's just not as good as this. Although this is long, I consider it worth, because again, he hits some excellent points and raises some very thought-provoking questions, especially when it goes into, why are you dating you Jakes that, and this one particular woman told a Jake, and he was speechless when she told him that. She said, there's no real advantage for my part in being with you other than genetics for the children. I'm not, socially, that's not going to, what is being with you? And Jake doesn't get it. Just doesn't. But that's later on, another 30 minutes maybe, that he goes into that. But, yeah. What more can I say? All right, so once again, I hope whoever views this is edified as to what's really going on out here. None of this, these lies that continually are put up on our people, especially our children. It's getting worse and worse and worse. So with that, until the next video, hey, shalom.